Hello guys and welcome to this first tutorial. My name is Carlo Andre Mercado. I am the lead developer of Prophecy of Chaos, previously known as a Judgment project. As a lot of the followers asked me to create a little tutorial about the 2D lights that we are using in the project. So here is the tutorial. So if you want to download all the tutorial with the final scene that we are creating in this tutorial, you can subscribe to our Patreons and download there, or you can download in the description of the video the texture folder with all the texture that we are going to use in this project. So here we are. Um, so first all, you need to create a Unity project in with the 2D. After you create the Unity project 2D, you are going to import the folder that I give to you, and the folder contain three subfolders. One is backgrounds, to contain this image. One player that contain this image, and one tiles that contain this image. The backgrounds contain all the, as the name said, all the image for the backgrounds. The most important one is this one. It's contain the types that you're using in the scene, and using a multiple in this case with 32 units per pixel per units, and we are using slides here in the spread editor. And we are using grid cells, and we are using 32 by 32 and slice, and that's it. This is the only setup that we need here. And the same for this one, we are going to use slice 32 by 32 slice and save. And after that, with that one, we can create a tilemap that is already setting out in the project, as you see here. The player is using a simple sprite. I am going to change the name here just to be clear. Player, and it's going to use the player material that we are going to create again. And the grid contain all the backgrounds. One is for foreground and one is for background. Each of these is a simple tile map rendered and tile map property that you can set up here. You can see more tutorials about that, or maybe I can create a tutorial in the future how to use these tile maps. So after that, we need to create the materials, these three materials. For create a material like this one, it's going to make a sample creating a new material for the player. So we are going to create a new material because because my project is already set up as a 2D project. It's going to create directly this universal render pipeline 2D sprite default. To set up this, we are going to need first go to Windows, Package Managers. You are going to need to import in the 2D components if you are not creating directly a 2D project for Unity. And after that, you need to go to Universal Render Pipeline and import it. It's going to import the Universal Render Pipeline and the shader graph. After that, you're going to go to Render Pipeline, and you need to create a Render Pipeline asset. Just right click, create, rendering, universal render pipeline, and pipeline asset. And after that, do the same, but create a 2D render experimental and this one. And then go to universal render pipeline, go to this render list and drag and drop the 2D render. After that, it's important to set up the HDR here to have a better effect, and set up the resolution in this case for 1024. It's okay because it's pixel art. We don't need a big resolution for that. So now we can set up. Sometimes when you have that you create something and you in a project that is not setting that as a universal render pipeline 2D, you are going to have a little problem with the texture. I'm going to create a material for showing that problem. In this case, I'm going to use a normal material, for example, standard. And this material has the normal, like the player here. And I'm going to assign this new material to the player just to see. So you are going to have this problem normally, like all your scenes is corrupted. Like, oh, why my players look like a pink, weird block of pink. So it's because the render pilot doesn't detect this shader. To solve that problem, you can go to Edit, Render Pipeline, Universal Render Pipeline 2D, and upgrade the scenes or project to the renders to the renders proceed. It's going to do that, and it's going to solve that problem. In my case, it didn't work because it detected that the is already upgraded. So I just going to drag again my real material. But that is the way that you can solve the paint problem. So what is these materials? The materials that I created, I using three is the standard universal the standard material that is come with the universal render pilot 2D. Just create, as I say, material, new material, tutorial, material in this case. And these are going to be again for the player, so I can explain what is the texture that we are using in the player. The first texture that I'm using in the player is this one. That is going to be the diffuse layer. It's a simple texture. I don't know if you see this image in my. No, you don't see this one. This is this is a simple material that you see that contain the render of the player. It's a simple one. This material, this texture, sorry. This one is a max. This one you can create it really easy in the you can create really easy in Photoshop and some program that can you can edit the multiple channels. The important of this material, this texture, sorry, is that the lights use this texture for interact with the sprites in the scene. So, for example, we are created in our project a special blend mode for the lights that is called focus light, and he's going to use this red channel that contain, as you see, only red in the corners of the player. That is going to create a little effect, like is the player is reacting like a light that is only shining the borders. This normally happen when you had a bright light over the top of you, and you're receiving this kind of light. So this for the reason you can do the same thing with the other channels for another effects. And of course we have the normal one for the material, so you can drag it the normal design of these ones here, and that's it. This is the material that we are going to create. It's the same thing for the others two materials that we are creating, except for the background that we don't need the max in that case. So as you see, because we are using the sprite lead, we don't see anything here in the game view. It's because the player, and because we don't have any lights to the lights in the scene, so that's the reason because it's all black here. It's the same thing if I put on the lights here, you're not going to see anything. But you can go here. It's important to run this in editor to see this here over here in pixel perfect, and you can go here to create for example a global light, so you are going to have light. So now I can go here and set up my my scene here. For example, I want to be this one, just to be 32 is okay. Okay, so I can move the camera and setting up the camera better. It's okay. I can use it like this. It's okay. I can zoom it a little more, and that's it to solve the problem of the black parts around the tile mat, but it's okay. This works for our idea that we are going to do. So now we are going to create an MP object called, and we are going to store all the lights here. We are going to call lights just to keep it all organized in the scene. We are going to create in lights 2D. We are going to start with Freeform Light. This light is really cool because this light allow you to draw the light inside of the editor. So it's like with this kind of vectors. So you can drag and drop all the effects of the light. In this case, we are going to use this light to create like an effect, like you are receiving the light from outside of the cave, something like this. For example, if you don't want to have this light here, you can add it another one here, so you can have like the light is only hitting this part, so it's going to create this kind of effects in the light. And for example, it's coming from here. So like this, we had now this kind of light here. So to get a better effect, we are going to change the background color to something more like going to try to find something like that blue, something like that. It's more like a night outside. And I'm going to put in this light kind of the that effect. So it's going to be like this kind of light, little more like this. Perfect. So you see here that we had a blend mode for the light, and here we had a target sorting layer. Right now, all the player and everything is in a known layer. It's because I imported this for another project, but we are going to create a specific sorting layer for each part of the scene. For example, for the player, we are going to create one called player. We are going to create another one called background, and another called foreground. And the other is gonna be the background is going to be the first one, and the foreground going to be the middle, and the default is okay. You can put the default here or whatever you want. But this is very important because the first one here is going to be the one that is going to be in the back, and then the last one is going to be the one that is rendered in the front. So and that's it. The important thing that you need to notice about here. So here we are going to put the player. That's the reason because the player disappears here because we didn't set up this shorting layer to interact with the light. The background is going to use as the name say, background layer, and the foreground going to use the foreground layer, and that's it for the setup. We're going to go to this freeform light that we are created here, and we are going to use in this one. We are going to set up the background layer and the foreground layer and player 2. So it's back to where we started. This one is going to use the default blend, but we are going to create another blend and explain what is the blend styles. The blend style is a special blends that the Unity use to interact with the 2D lights with the sprites. In this case, the default mode is a multiply mode that interact with the texture directly without touching the max texture character. So in this case, in the focus light, we are going to use this special one. Use click here, focus light. We are going to use the RB, R or red channel of the max texture, and we are going to use a custom one to use a multiply and additive. So I'm going to explain this. This part here is like a slider. If you're going to negative, it's because it's a multiply mode, and if you go into positive, because it's a additive mode. I'm going to put like a 1.3 because I think it's going to be okay. And of course, we need another one. We are going to call the direct light. It's going to be G, and multiply is okay. We are going to let like this, and this one is going to use the delay, like as you see this is going to create this little kind of effect. You see this one. So I see that the G is not that good for me, so I'm going to use A. Yeah, A is perfect for this kind of light. It's more softened that use the without max the layers, so it's better to use the this kind of light for that part. So after that, I'm going to duplicate this one, and this one is only going to affect the foreground and the player, and this one is going to use the focus light. You see, the focus light is going to affect only the borders that you had like this red, the strong red in the textures. You can see the interaction here in the player, how to interact with the border of the player. It's a really cool and simple effect. And you can change, of course, the texture. For example, I want to be more like a blue darkish, blue like this. Can be more like this, yeah, like that. So this is a cool effect. And this is only interacting with the two layers that we are setting here. This is the first type of light that we are using. Other light that we can use, for example, if we had a torch or something like this here, for example, we can use a particle system. We are going to create a small particle system here. Yeah, like that. That's going to be here. And the particle system is using universal render pipeline. We are going to use this render pipeline. And in the case, we are going to use another shorting layer. In the shorting layer, we are going to create another one called visible particles. Okay, done. So we are here going to again to find the shorting layer ID, visible particles, and that's it. So right now it's not illuminated by anything, but this okay. We are going to make a little setup. First, we are need to change the speed of this. I'm going to use like 1. Change the size. I'm going to put a random between 0.5 and 1, maybe less, 2, 0.5. Yeah, like that. I'm going to reduce the speed random between 0.3 and 0.5. Okay, cool. Shape, the radius, I'm going to reduce the radius. So I have this kind of little cool type of framing texture. I'm going to change the sprite. I'm going to create a new texture, a new material, a new material called particles. Particles mater material. This one doesn't need to have a normal map, so I want to use only this and the, the diffuse. And we are going to set up these particle materials as here. So we had, oops, sorry, I used the player material. So we had this kind of particles effects that is going to work like as our flame or kind of lights that we had here to illuminate. We are going to use a different color for this one, color over light maybe. Yeah, like for example, something really simple like a yellow to dark red, and we are going to put like this here to control the alpha. Just like this to have like a little cool, yeah, kind of flaming effect over there. The cool part is here is going to look like a pixel art because the pixel perfect effect that we had. Okay, so another thing that you're going to customize in this simple uh, particle effect that we are creating just to get a better illusion is the size overlay. Now we are to create a new one. Just, I want to use this one. Yeah, yeah, like this. Okay, like that. Perfect. So okay, so here I can put 0.5, 0.5, and 1. Oh, oh, my mistake is here. 0.5, 1. So like that is okay. So we are going to create a new light. We are going to use the point light. So this is another type of light here. And this point light we're going to use the only going to illuminate these ones and these ones. Oh, what is happening here? Hmm, really weird. It's really weird that is affecting. So it's okay. We're going to move this particle. We are going to select all, this one affect all of the particles, all of the shortened layers, and it's going to be like the color of the particle, of course. And we can control the intensity here. For example, I want to have more intensity. The cool part is the lights here. They had like an inner radius and outer radius. You see, if I'm moving the inner radius, I can like a hollow effect, really cool effect. So we can modify the follow, for example, to have something like this. And now you have these particles with this here. I can put this here and move it into the lights so we can have this here. Okay, I'm going to see what happened to check what happened with this weird effect in the player. I think it's in the focus light. Ah, this point light, focus light. Okay, it's working in direct light. Okay. It's because it's the default light, so if you're using the default light, maybe gonna have a little problem. So it's better to use the direct light to solve that problem. And in this case, of this one and the first one that we are using that is using direct light too, we are going to select these two. We are going to use normal maps in these ones. So we are going to have a better detail. For example, you see, you see now in the texture of the player is interacting way better with the normal map and the lights here. For example, look how cool the effects is working. And this one is controlled like at the distance. The effect. This is a volume. For example, it's good idea. For example, you can create halo effect like receiving the light. Yeah, it's really good ones like this. It's working perfect for me. And the alpha blend is good, for example, when you had like a 3 or 4 lights, one over the top of the other ones, and they are using like a multiple intensities. So it's cool that you control the color of that light over there with this alpha blend. As you see, it's going to blend together both of the lights that you had. See, so it's really useful, this tool. This quality is really useful when you have a lot of lights. So sometimes some lights you don't need to have like a big a lot of details. So you can use this setup here to put in fast to render that light like a way faster. So here is like the first approximation. Well, what is we are creating. Another thing that I normally like to do when I creating this kind of work is creating another freeform light. I'm going to create here two lights to the freeform light. This freeform light is going to be because in the project we are using like a rooms. Normally I use this light to be in the side of the room. For example, in this case, it's going to be like this because this is the side of this room. And this one is using to light a little only one of the layers. Normally I use it for one for background like that. And this one is going to help if you had like a color like a similar that is using in the in the in the project, for example, like this. You can generate a little contrast. It can be like a little color like a red color, more like not that much, maybe bluish. Yeah, like a blue, like almost pink, purple. Yeah, like that. Like that kind of work. And the intensity. Normally, this kind of light is not recommended to use like normal because it's only like a fill like that we are using to illuminate that part. And I do the same thing. I'm going to put like a fill, fill like a background. So I know this is the fill light of background, and this one is going to be for the foreground. So in this case, I'm going to change a little more this one to the red, but less saturate. I think I can do the same with the other one because I think it's really saturate. Yeah, like that. It's way better. So now you have everything in the background illuminate, but maybe not that strong. Like this is okay because you can use these particles to have the multiple of these in the background like this. Like I use like a point illuminations. Oh, I'm moving the camera. My mistake, sorry. So here, another one here. As you see, is if the lights interact between them, they interact really good. You can activate the lights that you had in this point lights to be like a blend mode of a blend. Is really way better than the other ones because these ones are interacting with another light, so it's way better to like that. Another thing that I normally like to do is go into the player, for example, this one, inside of him, create a light too, and it's going to be um, another freeform light, and it's going to be for only the player, and it's works exactly the same for the player. And it's better to be like at the side of the player because sometimes you it's better to doesn't affect to don't be a really big light because the lights consumes a lot of memory when you had a lot of lights. So it's better to have like this light like this, really soft like this to control the little normals problem that you had before. And this helps that when the player goes out of the lights, it's not totally dark. So it's way easy to identify the player in all of the part of the map. So there are the almost the set that I using for the other for the lights. We had another types of lights and in the project, but almost all of the lights work the same. One thing that you can create that is really useful, I'm going to do that. But first, I want to do something. I want to lock the transitions and movement of the camera. I don't remember how to do that, so I try to don't touch this camera. Another thing that I'm going to do is post-process a volume. The volume is a really cool feature that has the universal render pipeline. This one help us to improve the quality of the rendering. So in this case, I need to check something. What happened with the texture? It feels really weird that the texture is not rendering. Okay, no, it's not that. 64. Oh, okay. 32. 34. It's a little 64. Yeah, 64 is working way better than 32. I don't know why. So we are going to use this setup for the moment. Because the other one is affecting a lot of the players, so it's better to have this one. So right now I'm going to use this volume. In this case, going to be global because I want to affect everything in the scene. We are going to create a new volume. It's creating this one by defect. And here we are going to add one cloud bloom. We are going to activate the bloom here and the intensity. And as you see, if you have activated, it's going to create this cool effect of shiny in the all the effect that is really reacting too much with the lights. So you're going to the camera. Remember, you need to go to the camera. If you don't see this effect, it's because the camera in the camera you don't have the post-processing activates. If you don't have the post-processing, you're not going to see the bloom effect that you are applying over there. And remember, don't use anti-aliasing if you're using pixelart because it's going to look really weird. So this is like one of the setups that I like to use. Another one is color post-processing. I normally like to use vintage or color curves or a color adjustment. Normally I like to use the color filter. Normally I like to use this to have like a kind of the same color in all the scene. For example, this is more like a kind of hue and saturation, so I can check for a cool color for the all the scene. For example, I like this color, and the hue system is kind of the same thing on the other one, but it's kind of strong for the reason I prefer the other this one. And this one for control the saturation, how saturate the one the scene. For example, like this is really perfect for me. And after that, you can do is something called shadow casters. The shadow caster is useful, for example, if you want, it's good for the player. You can create here called shadow caster 2D, and then you can edit the shadow caster. For example, in the player, you can use the this pair. In our case, it's really more easy because our player in the game is using a spine, so it's multiple sprites. So we use a shadow caster for the most important parts of the player, and the other parts we are use and after that we are using one called compositive shadow caster that's going to combine all the shadow caster inside in one. So it's going to have a really cool effect against the lights. So something like this. And after that, you are going to select None. You are going to select player and going to self shadow. I use render. Okay, background and foreground visible. So that's it for 18. I don't know why it's not working. Sometimes this is one of the features normally has a little problem. Sometimes work, sometimes not working. But with this setup, the showcase must be worked. So I don't know why it's not working in this part. It's, it's really weird. You can create an empty object too and put a shadow caster over there, and you activate the light, and you are going to see if the casting is working or not. It's weird that it's not working. But normally we are using this to put, for example, in this part of the background that we don't like that has like a this interaction with the light. So we normally do that here. So we put here, 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 like in these parts, like this. We don't need this, so we can delete that just with the delete button. And that's going to create like a nice shadow here, but I don't know why this is not working. The shadow cast. Ah, I know why. I know why. It's because we need to go to the Freeform Light, in this case this one, and go to the put the shadow intensity and the shadow volume. So that's it. As you look, the shadow cast is working fine and perfect. And this we need to use that one in all the lights that have this default. For example, in the shadow. So now you have this cool shadow effect here. No, this one doesn't. No, this one doesn't need because it's field light. Sorry. The focus light doesn't need too. And this one, I don't want to. This one had like a big one, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to repeat this one. I'm going to put this one here, and I'm going to use alpha blend, and I'm going to reduce the intensity of this one. I'm going to let the intensity in one, but I'm going to take off the volume and the shadow volume. So this one like this is going to help us to help with the intensity of the player and the light of the player, because you see the volume of this one. Oh, mhm. Okay, direct light. Okay, perfect. Intensity. We need to put a little more force on the volume and take off the. Okay, like that. Perfect. And reduce the volume and a little more the intensity. The intensity is okay in one, volume is okay like this. Yeah, perfect. In this one, for the shadow, we can reduce this one. The shadow is not, we don't need to be like a too strong. And shadow the intensity, we can reduce a little more to have like a better reflection in the player. So something like this is okay, working for me. And of course, we need to go to each of these point lights that we have here and do the same thing. We create a little volume, shadow the intensity, and shadow the intensity here. So now we have the skull effect here that is like is cutting out the part that we don't like to see. Um, I can reduce a little more. I think I can feather the little more this shadow here to don't be like that strong. I'm going to solve that later. But before that, I'm going to create another type of effect that is really cool that we can use it with exactly the same one that we use in this focus light. And 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 I'm going to show how it works. So first we are going to duplicate this case. We are going to duplicate this light, and this light is only going to affect the player, and it's going to use this kind of light but a little more like this. We're going to go to the render pipeline. We are going to create this new light called silhouette or uh, control or control light. Yeah, control light is okay. It's work for me. Going to use the same one that we are using here, but we are going to use in custom. We are going to use -1. So if I go here and put this here in the player, oh, I forget to do something with this one. But the reason because it's not working this one is because the player had shadows in this. Hmm. Oh, control like. Ah, it's not working. It's because the player had the. Um, it's because the player is has the other light that is interacting with him, and so that reason is because it's not that affected by that light. But if you go to here and go in that light that you have there, I'm going to move this particle a little more like this. Okay, perfect. And you go here and increase the intensity of the control light and delete the volume because we don't need the volume of this one. This one doesn't need to have the intensity. Okay, now I need to set that. Yeah, that's thing. That's the fact that so that is the effect that we want to create. Another thing that I want to do is go to the player or one that had the shorting layer. Go to add shorting layers. I'm going to move the shorting layer of the particles behind the player. So the effect is going to be more noticeable. So that is the effect that I want to create. It's like this effect that is like he's receiving the light but behind, not in front of him. So that's create this kind of effects that I want to do. So that's it. That is the effect I want to create with this light. So you can do something like this, create like a little prefab. I'm going to create a layer called prefabs. Okay, flames. Point light is okay, and the other is control light. So control light, yeah. I'm going to delete the other ones because I don't want to use this one without customization. And I'm going to save this in the 2D lights. I'm going to create new folder. We are going to create prefabs. So I can go in prefabs and help the flame prefab. So now I have this prefab. I can duplicate this prefab and put it in the other parts that I want. For example, this part and another one here. And that's it. You can use play and see what's happened. It's going to show. You can change this one to put like a little more like this, and that's it. That's it. The tutorial. Tell us what do you think about this small tutorial that I create for the lights. You see, the 2D lights is really powerful tool for getting a really cool atmosphere in the project. So don't forget to follow the project, the Prophecy of Chaos, to more for check more of the updates that we had. If you want to download the project, remember that I'm going to put the project in the Patreon that we are launching soon. And of course, you can download the this folder of textures with all the textures that you're using in this project in the description of this video, so you can follow all the tutorial. So I hope you like it, and don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and get the like button. So bye bye, guys.